I wanted to go with my kids, my wife. She said, no, only if I die. Suddenly, a code word appears. It's SWAT. It was scary. It was thrilling. You like the wrong post and you're in jail for 3 years. This is totally an unfree society. I know people that even get used to it and that choose to be prosecuted, oppressed, but still not to leave the country.
Welcome to the Talk Easternium interview, where each week we sit down with a special guest to dive deeper into topics which we are trying to cover in the region and trying to understand better what is happening there. My name is Nina Panikova, and I'm one of the co-hosts of the podcast. This week, we are exploring the story of Volny Chor, Belarusian choir that emerged during the protests of 2020 and became known for performing songs of freedom and solidarity in public spaces. Since then, members of the choir have faced arrests, repressions, as you can imagine, and some of them still continue their work from exile, trying to keep the Belarusian identity and culture alive, even, during these tough times in their own country. So, to speak about all of that, I'm here with Sasha. We are not disclosing his surname because we are trying to respect his safety and security. But welcome to the podcast, Sasha.
Oh, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Very nice. And for our listeners who are not watching the video on YouTube of our podcast, I will just say that we are not only disclosing the surname of Sasha to protect him, but he is also wearing a red mask and white hood, which is very characteristic to the performances of Volny Chor. Yeah, I think a very characteristic, of course, and reflecting the national flag of Belarus, which is the flag that it's historical flag of Belarus and is very different to the flag that the Belarusian state is using these days. But maybe we touch upon it a bit more during the interview, and I'm just going to ask you a first question. Please tell our listeners more about Volny Chor. How did it start? Why did it start in 2020 or maybe even before?
It started, actually, the Volny Chor itself started in 2020, in August, after the elections that were stolen and after the enormous degree of oppressions and of violence that poured out onto our people. And everybody was shocked, and it was impossible to remain silent, and everybody wanted to do something, but nobody knew what to do because nobody were ready to spill the blood, like as an answer, as a revenge. People were like peaceful, but they wanted to protest, and everybody wanted to do something. First flash mob occurred on Minsk Philharmonic. It was like on the steps of the building, and two guys, Alyaksandr and Denis Ivanov. Now I can reveal their names because they already did it themselves and they gave their permission. So they were actually the founders of the choir, and they convinced other singers of Philharmonic to get out on the steps and to sing Mahutne Bozha. As far as I remember, it was 5 years ago, like Belarusian kind of prayer, and that was, to my memory, already forbidden at the time by the authorities. Well,
and why was it forbidden?
In Belarus, from 2020, you could get into prison for wearing red socks or white socks. So that's ridiculous, and the degree of being ridiculous is beating new records every day, every month, and every year. So back then you could get only days of prisons. Now for the same things you get years of prisons. So it's ridiculous, but it's true. Mainly, it is prohibited because of people who were singing it, and because those people, as the majority of Belarusians, were against Lukashenko, against the fraud and the violence he did. And they did a couple of flash mobs on commemorating Alyaksandr Lukashenka, the first guy that was killed by the authorities during protests. Like they were singing Pagonia, it's an official anthem of Belarus, very famous song, and they were doing it even with orchestra, so it was quite massive. But then it was, of course, banned. They had to do flash mobs in other places, and just after it all began, Galia Kazimirovskaya, among other people, also joined the choir. And she approached guys and said that, yeah, you're singing in a single voice, everything. So let's do it more like professional. And So the expertise is what she brought there. Like at first there were 2, maybe 3 songs, Pagonia, Mahutny Boże, Kupalinka, and that's it. And now it's maybe 100 or something. So we have 3 albums in a row, and many more songs are not yet in the album. So she digged a real treasury of Belarusian like heritage, cultural heritage. And these songs, they are not violent, they're not protest songs. It's just Belarusian songs, and some of them are even like national value. Basically, a lot of people have joined the chor back in the days. The voice as an instrument, it has one wonderful peculiarity. Once you shut your mouth, you disappear. And in the crowd, when like 30 people start singing suddenly, it is a real impression on the people. And they do it good. And back in the days, there were COVID times, as you may remember.
Yeah,
So everybody was
2020,
wearing
right?
masks, and it helped a lot to avoid the face tracking systems. So in Belarus, there are like tens of thousands of cameras, and all of them are now united in a single network with a face like recognition tracking system used by authorities for repressions mainly.
So that's how it started. So it was in August 2020, just to remind our listeners, that was, the protest for the stolen elections in Belarus. And I mean, you also reminded me that it's going to be 6 years this summer. It's quite some
Yes.
time that has
Yes.
passed already. And unfortunately, the situation hasn't changed much.
And nothing has stopped, because otherwise it would calm down and people would be released, but nothing has stopped. So now it's oppressed and ruined and smashed into ground, but nothing has stopped. So they have no possibility to do anything without severe consequences, but nothing has stopped.
Yeah, so people continue to resist. That's what you're trying to say.
Yes, at least they do what they can do. A part of the core is there.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. Like, if you can tell us a bit, like, how the performances looked like, during the 2020. What did you do? You mentioned that you were on the street, people are singing together, like traditional Belarusian songs. And I don't know to what extent, actually, you can speak about what is still possible in Belarus. Because I think for our listeners, but also for myself, like, we really think it's a closed environment. And of course, some activism is still possible in such a spaces. Like, as you said, like, there's a lot of repercussion and arrests.
No, no flash mobs anymore, because now it's too risky for the people. I'll tell you a bit about it. Basically, there were 3 forms of actions back in Belarus. The first one, of course, is flash mobs, and we called it internally like discounts. Discounts, because it's like an action discount. So, yeah. And
How is that in Belarusian?
Znижky.
Znижky, okay.
And there it was, everything was in timing. So one of the guys, usually it was Denis, and he was like wearing sometimes ridiculous but peculiar costumes several hours before the time. Through the Telegram group, it was disclosed where approximately which region to approach, and then approximately 1 hour or half an hour before the time of the action, they posted like a picture with a scheme of people where they should be, where will it happen, and then everything is in timing, because we were singing for 3 minutes at most, and for the policeman to arrive, for the militia and SWAT to arrive, it was some 5 to 6 minutes. So so people just start singing 1 or 2 songs, and then everybody disappear, because they stop singing and go where they were heading before. And that's it. Nobody was caught on the spot, I would say. I think that's a great achievement of the guys. There were, to my knowledge, there were 5 people in the committee that was organizing everything. So 3 you already know, and there were 2 more.
Okay, so this was Znижky.
Yes. The other activity was courtyard concert. Back in 2020, people used to go for a tea party in the courtyard. So the living complex, the condominium, and like 2 or 3 buildings, and everybody, the neighbors were gathering to talk, to dream about the future, to drink tea. Some famous pop stars used to drop by and give concerts here or there. It was like condominiums, regions of the Minsk, of the city, like several groups formed historically. Every house has its like Telegram or Viber chat that is discussing the household problems among the neighbors, and it's everywhere. So I think that in Britain or in Slovakia, or wherever you live, so you have a household chat where you can post some problems or discuss with neighbors what to do. And these chats naturally evolved into the kind of protest chats, but it was just neighbor groups, so just holding together. We were invited everywhere as well. So alongside with some lecturers, with history professors, it was various activities, various cultural activities. And then, although it was autumn 2020, that was also a spring for the Belarusian culture. We were invited and we gave that concerts. Of course, it was unsafe, totally unsafe, because anytime the SWAT might appear and like catch wherever they could catch, but there were guards like standing and ready to alert. So we were singing and we were teaching people to sing those songs, and we were singing together, and that was unforgettable impressions. Nobody realized, neither we nor the authorities, how powerful and how meaningful was it. And me personally, I don't realize it till now, because suddenly they started to strike back. So suddenly they started to detain people, to catch people. First flash mob that was punished, it was in a great theater, and it was in COVID times where actors were forced to act, and there are many elderly people among them, and they were getting ill. COVID was denied by Lukashenko, as you remember, and so that was really cruel. And the part of the troop decided to protest, and they just asked Galina whether she and a couple of singers can come and help them sing Mahutny Bozha just before the performance in the Great Theater of opera and ballet. And the synchronization Galina started to conduct with the flashlight of her phone, and somebody recognized her, and she was arrested for 3 days. Next day, I think.
Can you tell us more about Galina? Because you mentioned her a lot and how she was, important also when taking Volny Chor to another level. Who is she and how important she is for Belarus?
Her original project before 2020 was a Concordia Chor, and it is still active and doing wonderful music. So she's a professional conductor, and she's very good in conducting, and she's a prominent composer, one of the top musical persons in Belarus now, I would call it that way. She has great perfectionism on listening the first performances of the Volny Chor, and not on Philharmonic, of course, but when a lot of amateurs joined. And she did a lot of work teaching us how to sing, developing the partitures, because originally these songs were poor in arrangement, and she rearranged a lot of songs, and not only the classical ones, but the pop songs and some, pop, but still Belarusian hymns of modern composers. So she did tremendous amount of work, and couple of years ago, she discovered the archive of Belarusian heritage, cultural heritage, a real treasury that is in London right now, and that is mainly unknown to Belarusian. And this is a very deep chunk of the Belarusian culture, mostly written in exile, but still unknown till now. So, and she did organize these archives. She took the partitures, he enhanced them, and is popularizing them. So via Concordia Chor and via Volny Chor as well. So yeah, she's a real struggler, a real hardworking person, and a real talented person. Well, she resides in Russia right now, and she organized a school for young Belarusians, and not only young, where they have core, they have course, they have musical courses for piano and guitar, whatever, and they have history and theater, and so many activities, and that is really wonderful. And one of the noticeable features is volunteering. So she does most of the things like for free, right? So just covering the very basic needs. And the whole story of the Volny Chor is volunteering, so we are not taking money. We're not selling tickets on our concerts, so everybody can come. We're not taking money, and the inviting site just compensates us travel expenses.
I think we might get to it, like also to tell our listeners when they can see you. But before that, if you can still give us a bit of understanding what Volny Chor still can do inside of Belarus, if that's possible. And then also tell us a bit, what do you do outside of the country, and where our listeners can actually find you?
I didn't mention the third form of actions that we did back in Belarus and that we keep on doing right now. So these are concerts, and back in Belarus, like it was also tricky and totally not safe to find a place where we can gather 50 people like to sing loud. In the atmosphere of total control and total like violence. So we managed to do three concerts. One in the autumn, the first concert, presenting our first album, "Водная песня," which is like war-full songs. Then the Christmas concert, the big Christmas concert, and the concert in the spring that was dedicated to our Freedom Day, or to День воли, the day of 25th of March. So in Belarus, only online concerts were possible. So we were broadcasting or recording and broadcasting the concert. It was getting more and more complicated. One of the turning points when they were looking for us more and more thoroughly was when Kachanova, right hand of Lukashenko, she reported him that we have cleaned out this red, white filth, that garbage from the city. It was a coincidence that at the very same evening, in one of the major shopping centers, the guys unfolded a gigantic flag for 3 stores down, and it was like maybe 20 meters wide. So it was a really gigantic flag, and we're singing Pagonia, the anthem. It was a trigger, a real trigger. And after that, so we were gathering for rehearsals. And like after that could have been a rehearsal. And I wanted to go with my kids because we didn't align on schedule with my wife. And she said, no, it's not safe. I said, come on, it's safe. People are singing, so we're singing nothing. So it's very safe. Come on. She said, no, only if I die. So I stayed home and I was looking in the chat, and suddenly a code word appears. Somebody posts the code word. It's SWAT in Belarus, whatever. And Telegram bot reads this code word and cleans up the whole history of the chat and like deletes everybody in silence. And it appeared that SWAT had came to the rehearsal building, and I don't know. It seems that nobody was caught because they crashed into the nearby rooms, not where the rehearsal was, and everybody managed to escape. So, like, it was scaring, it was thrilling, it was exciting, and it was fun, I would say. And those people that were coming, they were really brave, and had to be very pedantic because you are late for 1 minute and nobody is there. So yeah, so you have to come in time for the actions. The last one was on Komarovsky Rynek. It's also a huge building with really overcrowded, and it was already summer of 2021. The authorities were thinking that Volny Chor is already done. And gathered and gave the performance. In the evening, one of the organizers called me and asked, "So you were the guy wearing the blue gloves?" I said, "Yes." "So what they are looking for me?" He said, "No, you're already in jail." So they were just counting people, like 15, 16 people that they could count were singing by the cameras. And they went to Philharmonic and took 15 people, like random people.
Okay, so they arrested them.
So, so that's kind of terror tactics. And basically it works. From that activity, there were some minor mobs, but it was the last one, and we decided to move our activities outside of Belarus. The main place now is Warsaw, and we are giving concerts all over the world, but not in Belarus, unfortunately.
So nothing is happening in Belarus is not possible anymore.
Well, something is happening, and a lot of people are getting in jail for that. Yeah.
So yeah.
Getting for nothing, and having 5 years, 6 years, 10 years for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
For likes
singing.
and for likes on Facebook. You like the wrong post, and and you're in jail for 3 years. You have donated for kitties, and the oppression apparatus of Lukashenko catches you, and they tell you that we will not, so we can do it in a good way or in a bad way. We will not investigate hard, was it for kitties or was it for protests or was it for Ukraine? So you can donate on the organization. We will write you. For example, you have donated $10, $10. You have to donate $1,000 to the organization, they will say, and you will write the acknowledgement of your guilt, and they will stop prosecution. I know 5 people of my acquaintances that did it, and you can imagine the scale, right? You can imagine
they
the scale.
Just paid $1,000 to something that the government told them.
Thousands for organization, it's way bigger, like fines.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and this is for nothing. One day it will come out, the truth.
Yeah.
It's like living in a concentration camp, but people get used to it and they don't feel it. And even I know people that are okay with it, and this is totally unfree society. And even if they are accused and put on the chemistry, chemia, when you're condemned to a certain term in prison, but you are not imprisoned, you are under home arrest for this term. And you are checked, and if you have notices, 3 notices, then you go to prison. So it's kind of cheaper and more convenient variant for the government. So I know people that even get used to it, and that they choose to be home, prosecuted, oppressed, but still not to leave the country.
So thank you very much for telling us also how the situation is in Belarus. And as you said, that it's not getting better. But I would like to come back to the music and ask you if you can tell us about the song that is so characteristic for Volny Chor and that you often perform, and tell us maybe more about the meaning. And we will include a link for our listeners to the show notes. But I was just wondering, what is really a characteristic song for you and why?
There are a lot of songs that are very meaningful, and their contents and their lyrics, they're really, really important, I would say. But if you ask about the one, it's "Где Cry" for sure. It's "Where Is My Land?" And this is written on a poem of Belarusian, on top Belarusian poet and writer Vladimir Korotkevich. And basically he called it Belarusian song. And it is written by a modern, well-known Belarusian singer. I will not name him here. And Galina arranged the song for the Volny Chor, and we do sing it very often because it's symbolism. It's about our nature. It's about our places. It's about the motherland itself, the people, and about our intentions not to betray it in any manner, and to never leave it wherever we are, not abandon our motherland. So that's basically the short contents of "Где Cry."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As I said, we will include the link so our listeners can listen to it. And before we end Sasha, I'm, having one more question. Can you tell our listeners why did you correct yourself a few times and not to say Belarusian but Belarusian?
I don't know. Before the 2020 and before the Volny Chor story, I was speaking Russian. And I still speak Russian with my wife, with my kids. And I couldn't speak Belarusian fluently, but after 3 months after the start of the project, let's call it that way, we decided in our chat that we will try to speak Belarusian language and we will try to get to Belarusian language. And the names and the names of the country, of the people, and of persons are transcribed differently into English from Russian language and from Belarusian language, right?
Yeah.
So the official name of our country is Republic of Belarus, and that is why we are Belarusians, not Belarusians. Sometimes it's kind of a habit. You say Belarusian, say Belarusian.
I was just asking because, I know it's quite important for some people who are part of, the movement. So I just wanted to also ask you whether you feel the same, because I noticed that. And I do it myself. I also correct myself.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame anyone.
Thank you very much. It was really, really inspiring to talk to you. We will be following where Volny Chor will be singing. I know that you were in Brussels a few years ago. Was it 2024? Yes. Where I am right now, but hopefully, I will be able to see the performance again. So thanks a lot for this interview and good luck with everything.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you very much.